Okay, let's then look at the politics that underlines the manner in which these stimuli have been put forward. My big questions now, is the stimulus enough really to jumpstart the economy? Has the stimulus failed to address the core issue of demand? Are we seeing pent-up demand or a real rise or a real growth? Will Diwali booster lift sentiment, or are we still very much in recession mode? These are some of the questions I want to ask. Sanju Verma is the BJP spokesperson who focuses on the economy. Supriya Srinath is the Congress spokesperson who also does that. And Rajiv Dubey is editor, Business Today. Supriya Srinath, let's turn to the opposition first, because we just heard the chief economic advisor suggesting he's cautiously optimistic about a V-shaped recovery. That he says October to December is going to be much better than the first two quarters, and there are early signs of manufacturing in particular picking up. Your response?
Without taking anything away from him, he's the same chief economic advisor who had predicted a 1 to 2% growth in a quarter where economy shrunk by over 24%. So the lesser said about his V-shaped recovery theory, the better it would be. I would only put 2 points forward, and I think the discussion needs to be held there, both at the economic and the political level. This is no longer just the fall in GDP rate we are talking about. We are talking about a considerable shrinking of the GDP volume, and that has huge ramifications for economic opportunities and for jobs. The second and more important point is we have entered into a recession. One more quarter of acute negative growth, we will be in deep recession. The government still continues to be in denial, and it cannot hide behind Corona, because our problems existed even before COVID hit us. We had 8 consecutive quarters of falling growth. Our GDP growth
the Reserve Bank of India says October to December will be
to 4.2 in
Supriya Srinath, Supriya Srinath, the Reserve Bank of India report, which says yes, we are in recession, 2 consecutive quarters of contracting growth, also suggests that there could be a recovery October to December and things could get better in 2021.
It will get better. Will we go back to pre-COVID levels is the big question. And what is the government doing about it? Are we going to lend our way out of this slowdown? Because if they plan to do that, and that's exactly what they have demonstrated so far, we will not be able to do so. We need to boost consumption. We need to focus on the unorganized sector. And for that to happen, you have to have a cash transfer scheme, without which, with all humility at my behest, nothing will move in the Indian economy. You've got to incentivize consumption. Unless and until you do that, there will be no investment and there will be no job creation.
You know, linked to that, Sanju Verma, is the fact that out of this 29.5 lakh crore, 29.5 lakh crore fiscal stimulus which is being spoken about, much of this is to address liquidity issues. What you are not addressing is the real crisis on the demand side, on the consumption side. Today the finance minister spoke about how first-time householders will get certain tax benefits. That is, the government hopes will stimulate demand. But at no stage is the government actually talking of how are they actually going to put cash in hand of those who really perhaps need it most. And unless you get that, how are you going to revive demand? The chief economic advisor says that people will save, will not invest, but the experience in other countries suggests that you need to put cash in hand.
It's a blast.
Okay, Rajdeep, you've asked some pertinent questions. I hope you will extend me the courtesy of giving you pointed rebuttals and responses. First of all, let me make it very clear. This allegation that there was a slowdown even before the COVID pandemic struck. Let me remind people that for the March 2020 quarter, everybody has been raising a stink about the fact that we grew by only 3.1% in terms of GDP growth. What nobody seems to be making a noise about is the fact that in the March 2020 quarter, before the corona pandemic struck, China degrew, contracted by 6.8%, the US by 4.8%, Japan by 3.4%, Germany by 2.2%, and the UK again by 5%. So we weathered the storm much better. Point number 2. Why is it that nobody seems to be talking about the fact that in 2019 we overtook France to become the 6th largest, and in February 2020 we overtook the United Kingdom to become the 5th largest economy in terms of nominal GDP overall. The third point You raised a very important point, Rajdeep, is the demand destruction.
That we've been
My
slowing
simple
down.
point is statistics don't lie.
Yes.
Let me come. Rajdeep, this is not fair. Let me make my last point, please. I listen to you, Rajdeep. Please extend me the courtesy. Demand is best measured when you look at situation on the ground. Now, if you look at the Navratri sales of Maruti Suzuki, in 9 days they sold 95,000 units. People allege, oh, that was pent-up demand. So, excuse me. Britannia reported a 23% growth in September quarter. Was that also pent-up demand? ACC reported a 21% growth in its profit. Was that also pent-up demand? Power consumption in the last 3 months has gone up by 12% on an average. Is that also pent-up demand? GST revenues have inched up by 10% plus year on year at 1.05 lakh crore in October after doing 95,000 crore plus in September. Is that also pent-up demand? No. Demand resurgence is coming back. If cement is moving up, if electricity consumption is moving up, if HDFC Bank's retail loan book has grown by 16%, where is this 16% growth coming from? Demand is back with a vengeance. But people who want to be deaf, dumb and mute, you cannot wake up a person who's deliberately asleep.
Let Rajiv Dubey respond. He's managing editor business today, so he's not a politician. Rajiv Dubey, slice the numbers for us, which have just been given by Sanju Verma and those given by Supriya Srinath. Is this pent-up demand or a demand resurgence when Sanju Verma claims, look at automobile sales, look at power consumption, look at cement. These are key areas which suggest that this is more than just pent-up demand. Your response, Rajiv?
Yeah, Rajdeep, the auto numbers have largely been because, the factories have companies have pushed the stocks to the dealers. If you look at the sale to the consumer, it's actually dropped 24% in October. So the auto demand, which was being considered the flag bearer of a revival, is actually not in real. It is only stocks being pushed from companies to dealers, and it's going to create a stockpile at the dealers, which we'll see the impact of this in the coming months and coming quarters. As far as the revival of the economy is concerned and the comparison with China is concerned, that's slightly unequal comparison, unfair comparison, because COVID hit China much before COVID hit India, at least a quarter later. So that is the same with Germany, same with Italy. Those are the countries where COVID hit much before it hit us.
What about power consumption?
So
what about power consumption and GST figures?
Is almost it's zigzagging. Rajdeep, if you see the graphic that we've put out, it's clearly zigzagging. It's not to the level. And also October power consumption is an extrapolated consumption that has been put out out of the first 50.
Up by 23%, Rajiv. Railway freight traffic is up by 23%. Railway freight traffic is up by 23%. That is not showing any zigzag trend.
Ma'am, the transfer.
Rajiv, with due respect to you, Hero MotoCorp sold 7 lakh units in September, which was higher than the number of motorcycles they sold in February, much before the COVID pandemic struck. What do you have to say about the fact that Hero MotoCorp sold 7 lakh motorcycles in a single month in September, whereas in February 2020, much before COVID struck, they sold only 4.98 lakh vehicles. What do you have to say about the fact that Mahindra and Mahindra sold over 42,000 tractors in September and October?
I just gave you the numbers. I just gave you the numbers.
Before COVID struck. This is not pent-up demand. This is not pent-up demand. There's a demand resurgence.
No, Sanju, you must let him. Sanju Verma, you must let him respond.
I just gave you the numbers as far as automobiles are concerned. As far as automobiles are concerned, the numbers you're talking about are wholesale numbers, which are numbers from companies to the dealers. Companies have the right to push to the dealers. Dealers have no option but to accept it. But that cannot be considered the sale to the consumer. If you want to look at the sale to the consumer, please see the registrations. Registrations are down 24%.
You did not give us the benefit of doubt then.
Ma'am,
you did not give us the benefit of doubt.
Sanju Verma, I will not allow you to do crosstalk. I will give ma'am, this is not a noise channel. This is not a noise channel, ma'am. I cannot allow you to intervene. He will finish, then you can speak.
As far as rail freight numbers are concerned, as far as rail freight numbers are concerned, let's please remember that during the lockdown and during the closure of the economy, a lot of the movement of goods has shifted from road to railways. So if you are comparing those numbers, we'll have to look at how those numbers compare when things normalize. So you cannot compare rail freight numbers in isolation without looking at the road freight numbers. Road freight numbers became zero, and so rail freight numbers increased. And as far as the power consumption is concerned, it's not very dramatically different.
Let me therefore turn away.
Rajdeep, can I come in, please?
Okay,
Rajdeep,
so
can I come in for a minute,
let's turn away from the
please?
cherry picking. No, yeah. Supriya Srinath, the question I want to focus on is jobs. At the end of the day, much of today's press conference of the finance minister was on Atmanirbhar Rozgar Yojana, that jobs are going to be provided, incentives to companies that rehire or create employment. Do you believe that is the critical question? 6.4% unemployment still remains unconscionably high. How would you as the opposition have dealt with the issue of unemployment? Let's be honest, there are no easy solutions here.
I'm being absolutely honest. There is no other issue that India needs to discuss today than jobs and the level of unemployment, given we are one of the youngest nations in the world and we're sitting on a ticking time bomb if we don't give people jobs. The way to give people jobs is not to incentivize companies to hire. What are you doing? You're going to pay for the EPF. But why should that company hire someone when their demand is down, when production is low? Why should he go and hire? You have a company of 25 people. If your products are not selling and the government decides to give you a part of your PF, will you go and hire people or will you retrench? The simple answer to that is you will retrench. What the BJP does not realize is you have to incentivize demand. There is something called a virtuous cycle in economy. Demand is going to give rise to consumption, which will boost investment and will lead to job creation. There is no other way to do it worldwide. And for everybody who's saying demand, quote unquote, is back with a vengeance, if it was, then why are you doing press conferences? And the second important point is, from being one of the third fastest growing economies in the world, we have now reduced ourselves to being the one of the seventh slowest economies in the world. And the government wants to live in denial. Good luck to them. It's not good luck to the Indian economy and to people at large.
Rajdeep, can I please make a point? Rajdeep, can I make a point?
I mean, somebody like R.C. Bhargava.
Yeah, before you come, Sanju, before you come, before you come, Sanju Verma, I'm not able to understand Supriya Srinath as a former journalist. The connection between having press conferences and stimulating demand. I'm unable to understand Supriya Srinath. What's wrong if the finance minister? I'll let you respond first. Let her complete that. I just want to understand what's wrong with the finance minister holding press conferences.
She can do 20 more press conferences, but nothing that she's going to announce or say is going to move the needle on investment or demand. And unless that doesn't happen, all of this is empty talk. You have to incentivize production, and for that you have to rev up demand. Unless you do not give people money in their hands, where are they going to buy from? Mr. Krishnamurthy can come here and say that people are going to save. That's a very nonsensical, uneconomic argument that he's making.
Rajdeep, you said you don't like to men debates. Can I make my point now, Rajdeep?
I will give you 1 minute. I will now give you 1 minute of uninterrupted time, Sanju Verma. I'll give you 1 minute of uninterrupted time. Is the government still living in denial?
Rajdeep ji, I want to say one thing very clearly. Let me take the bull by the horns. This whole halablu about jobs. Let me tell you very honestly, if you just look at the August EPFO data, we created more than 1 million jobs, which was a 34% growth month on month. But let me not cherry pick. On an average, I did some data analysis before coming for your debate. For the 17 months ending March 2019, we created 78 lakh jobs only in the formal sector, that which is captured by EPFO and ESI numbers. 80 to 90% of India's economy still survives on jobs which are not necessarily captured by various agencies. The other thing which Modi ji has repeatedly said, we want to transform India from an economy of job seekers to job creators. Why is no one talking about the fact that if over 11 lakh crore people have benefited, over 15 crore people have benefited from over 11 lakh crore loans that were given under Mudra Yojana, you've created a new breed of entrepreneurs. The other thing that Supriya has said is that, we are not giving cash into the hands of the consumer to resurrect demand. Excuse me, 9 lakh crore has been given by way of direct benefit transfer. Just in the COVID times, in the last 6 months, over 9 crore farmers got over 22,000 crore under PM Kisan. 895 crores was given by way of EPF benefits. Building and construction workers got over 4,300 crores. There was 20 lakh by way of insurance given to each Mahila. And there are about 68 self-help groups run by Mahilas or the women of this country. We gave 53,000 crore by way of direct benefits to more than 42 to 50 lakh people. 73,000 crore by way of MSP purchases.
You're uninterrupted.
So the fact that there is a demand resurrection, if you don't want to acknowledge it like an ostrich with its head under the sand, then the problem is yours. You have been living in denial, so you lost Bihar. Out of 70 seats, you managed only 19. You did not realize that Modi ji has been working at the basics.
Let me tell you,
water was given to more
I
than
have
4
to stop.
lakh
I'm asking my producer to
Bihar,
cut.
which has never...
Ma'am, I have to cut both of you only for to the extent because we are running out of time. I just want to say that when Bihar is used to justify either side, remember the gap between the two sides was just 12,000 votes. So let's not use Bihar to suggest that we are on the right track with the economy or magnify the scale of economic distress. I don't think that this election in a way gives us any real indication of the scale of economic distress that exists on the ground. What is clear, of course, is that there has been some welfareism of the government. The question remains, has the government still done enough? I just want to give Rajiv Dubey quietly 20 seconds. Rajiv, what's the big message you got today from Nirmala Sitharaman? Very quickly.
Rajdeep, the message is not very different from what it was earlier, which is that the government is still focusing on the supply side of the economy. Whether it is the PLI scheme, whether it is the credit guarantee scheme, whether it's new loans to NIIF or new loans to capital subsidy or to exports, it's largely around the supply side. Now the question is, when do we look at the demand side? Because without demand, we are not going to see a great revival. It's going to be just chugging along and growing at this pace. And the problem there is, Rajdeep, is that there are two very quick ways of improving demand, which is cash transfer and significant cuts in GST. And given our financial financial situation right now, where we are expecting something like shortfall of 6 to 8 lakh crore in taxes this year, we are not in a position to do either. So what should we do? We should try and revive demand through what the world revives demand with, which is public expenditure. We've actually slowed down public expenditure both at central and state level in the last 1 year. We have to accelerate public expenditure and put resources behind that so that we can, revive demand through ripple effect in the economy, through waterfall effect in the economy. And that's the only way to do it. Consumption, you cannot drive unless you put in, unless you cut taxes and you bring in cash transfers right away.
Okay, let's leave it there. I appreciate my political guests, Supriya Srinath, Sanju Verma and Rajiv Dubey, for joining me here on our focus on the economy.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.